What is consciousness? What is consciousness? Consciousness is the very basis of life. Consciousness is the window through which we perceive life. Consciousness is the very substratum of the universe. Consciousness is the basis of individual life and the life of the universe. Consciousness is what enables us to feel, to think, to perceive, to experience every aspect of life. Without that inner wakefulness of the mind, if we weren't conscious, what could we experience? What could we know? What could we perceive? What could we feel? Consciousness is what enables us to experience every dimension of life. What is consciousness? Consciousness is the inner wakefulness of the mind, the inner awareness, the alertness of the mind. Consciousness is the very basis of the thinking process. The source of thought is consciousness. Consciousness is the source of thought. It's the source of intelligence within the mind. It's the source of creativity. Without consciousness, could we think? Could we think of anything? Could we plan our day? Could we experience where we are? None of these things would be possible without consciousness. Consciousness is the basis of thinking. Thinking is the basis of action. Action is the basis of achievement. And achievement is the basis of fulfillment. So consciousness is very important. It's the substratum of individual life and the very basis of the universe. In fact, the latest findings in physics have spoken about the universe as a big mind. Max Planck, the founder of quantum field theory, compared the whole universe to a big mind rather than to a physical material object. So consciousness is a field of intelligence, an infinitely dynamic field of intelligence, and quantum field theory describes the universe as an infinitely dynamic field, which is a self-referral field, which is constantly interacting with itself to give rise to the vast display of diversity in the whole universe. So the whole universe arises from a self-interacting field of intelligence or field of consciousness. So consciousness is the basis of the individual and the basis, the very substratum of the entire universe. What is consciousness? Consciousness enables us to understand what life is. Consciousness enables us to understand what the aim of human life is. The aim of human life is the full development of human potential, the full development of our mental potential. Most psychologists tell us that most people only use about 5 or 10% of their mental potential. It's like trying to play the piano with one finger, and that's why we can't solve all the problems that confront us in our daily lives. So if we knew how to use all 10 fingers to play the piano, then we could really produce a symphony which would allow us to really produce a world filled with harmony, peace, infinite creativity, and a solution to all the problems which are facing the world today. The experience of pure consciousness is an experience which is readily available through the practice of transcendental meditation. During the practice of transcendental meditation, the mind begins to settle down. Normally we have so many thoughts that we hardly know what to do with them. There are more thoughts than we need in a particular situation. It's like static on a radio. We turn on the radio, instead of hearing the channel we want to hear, there's a lot of static coming. And in the same way, when there are many thoughts that we don't need in our mind, it's like it creates some static. But during the practice of the transcendental meditation technique, what happens is the mind begins to settle down. And we begin to experience quieter and quieter and quieter levels of the thinking process until we transcend thought completely and experience the state of pure awareness, a state of infinite silence, unbounded awareness, a state of awareness free from all limitations. This experience of pure consciousness is the experience of the simplest state of human awareness. It is the state of least excitation of consciousness. It is the state of pure, unbounded being, the state of pure consciousness. In this state, consciousness is wide awake within itself. And what is it awake to? It's awake to consciousness itself. Normally, the mind is focused on many different objects of attention, but in the state of pure consciousness, consciousness is conscious of itself alone. Consciousness is aware of itself. This is a state of self-awareness. It's a state of self-knowledge. It's a state of pure consciousness. The value of experiencing this state of pure consciousness is that it expands the conscious capacity of the mind. Normally, as I mentioned, we only use about 5 to 10% of our full mental potential. That means we only use the surface active level of the mind. And when we transcend and experience quieter and quieter and quieter levels of the thinking process, we experience the depth of the mind, the most powerful level of the mind, the quietest, most silent, unbounded level of pure being, pure consciousness. The value of this experience is that we begin to bring those values of intelligence, infinite intelligence, orderliness, creativity, energy, bliss, unbounded fullness of life into our activity.